Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Legal Bee channel. If you are someone who is appearing for the IBPS SO Mains examination, which is scheduled to happen on the 9th of November, then this video is for you. In this video, I will walk you down the PYP trends of the IBPS SO examination, the mains examination. What should be the ideal um, sort of target to sort of target marks that you should have in your mind and that you should prepare sort of towards, right, in order to clear the mains cutoff, as well as what are the important legislations that you should focus on in the last 60 days, right? So let's get started. In your mains examination, you will get 60 questions for 60 marks. That means one question is going to be for 1 marks each, and you will have 45 minutes to solve each question, right? If I were to talk about the mains cutoff, the highest cutoff was seen in the year 2024 with 44 marks out of 60, as well as the lowest cutoff was in the year 2021 with 17.25 marks out of 60, right? So if you are targeting a sort of safe target is to uh, secure at least 48 to 50 marks. If that is the target you will go with, that is when you're going to land up somewhere between 44, 45 marks, in your examination. And again, these cutoffs are uh, they sort of vary every year depending upon the number of students who are sitting for the examinations, the number of vacancies which have been announced, as well as the difficulty level of the examination, right? But uh, assuming 45 to 50 marks being the cutoff is something that is a safe bet, right? Now, moving on to the PYP analysis, if I am going to talk about those laws which are very consistent and high weightage, which sort of has come up in the last 4 years. So you have constitution. We have seen up to 10 questions being asked from this particular section in 2020. Then you have contracts. Again, a maximum of 6 questions were asked in 2021. Then you have Transfer of Property Act. Again, a maximum number of 6 questions are being asked in the year 2021. Then you have your procedural codes like CPC and BNSS. CPC having maximum of 5 questions being asked in 2020 and 2023, respectively. BNS, again, a maximum of 4 questions being asked in 2021. And then you have IPC or BNS, again, maximum of 6 questions being asked in 2023. Your Evidence Act, your Bharatiya Sakshi Adhiniyam, again, a maximum of 3 questions being asked in 2023. Then Limitation Act is also, again, one of the major acts which form a part of this IBPS SO mains examination, with minimum 2 to 3 questions being asked from this particular section. Companies Act, again, a very major and vital law. We have seen up to 7 questions being asked from this particular section. Then you have IBC, you will see around 1 to 3 questions being asked from this particular section. Then you have Partnership Act, again, a very consistent legislation that is being asked with minimum 2 to up to 3 questions being asked from this section. Then you have NI Act, which has seen up to 4 questions being asked. And in recent years, in the last 3 years, we have seen NI Act having a greater weightage in the exam as opposed to other acts, right? So again, it forms a very important and a very crucial part of the examination. So these acts, right, the ones that I just ticked off, these are the acts which basically forms the very crux and foundation of your IBPS SO mains examination, right? So if you are someone who is just starting off with the legal syllabus, first focus on these laws, right? First focus on these areas of law. These are called the consistent areas of question. And once you've completed these acts, only then shift your focus to other legislations, right? Now, if you are someone who has not dealt with BNSS or CPC before, the idea is to drop them because they are quite extensive and difficult to cover. So instead of focusing on these two legislations, shift your focus on completing other legislations which are easy to cover and which together will form more weightage than what BNSS and CPC together can sort of form, right? If you are someone who has studied these acts before and who is quite comfortable with it, then please go ahead and read them. They are quite crucial from the perspective of examination. Now, there are other acts which also are crucial. So once you have completed these acts, you can shift your focus to Specific Relief Act, even though uh, the questions from this act came in 2020 and 2024 only. It's quite important, so please complete that. LLP Act again is quite important. Your Competition Act too holds a lot of value. Your legal maxims are important. Arbitration Conciliation Act is important. RTI is important. Specifically, in the last 2 years, we have seen around two questions each, right? In the year 2023 and 2024, right? So again, a very important legislation, of the recent times. Similarly, SURFACE and FEMA in the recent times has also seen a larger chunk of questions being asked from these particular legislations. So up to 3 questions were asked last year from SURFACE, FEMA, as well as the securities laws, specifically your uh, SEBI Act, your SCRA, as well as your Depositories Act, right? RDBFI Act also, as well as your RBI Act also is again a major chunk of acts which are quite important, as well as your Banking Regulation Act, right? So similarly, if I were to talk about your Legal Services Authorities Act as well as your Lok Adalat Act, quite important, especially your CPA, Consumer Protection Act. These are basically those two areas, including your PMLA, which in recent times, in all the recent examinations which took place in the legal domain, has seen a larger chunk of weightage being formed from these three acts or these three legislations. So ensure that you have completed these legislations. They're quite short, they're not very extensive, so they're easily coverable in a week or so. Similarly, Sales of Goods Act, Payments Settlements Act, your Indian Stamp Act forms again very sort of important chunk of fairly important chunk of legislations for the purposes of your IBPS SO Mains examination. So ensure that you have gone through these as well, right? So these are all the acts that you should focus on, right? Which are relatively consistent as well as high weightage. The idea is in the last 60 days, your ideal focus should be these acts only. If you're someone who has completed or who has covered more or less this syllabus, then the idea is to learn the last 1 or 2 weeks should be devoted towards learning the indexes of these 12 acts, right? Because they are very important. And as well as your RBI and your Banking Regulations Act, your SURFACE Act, your Consumer Protection Act, your LLP and SRA. Right. So these are quite important from the perspective of index learning, in addition to, of course, these 12 acts that I've mentioned. Right. Now, if you are someone who has not covered any one or more than one of these acts or legislations, the idea is to cover them by practicing as many MCQs as you can on that related legislation, right? Since it's an objective examination, solving MCQs is one of the most easiest and smartest way to cover the syllabus, as well as if you cover the syllabus by solving MCQs, there is a higher probability of you marking the right answer, even if you do not essentially remember or have the conceptual understanding of what the legislation says, right? So please ensure that you're solving MCQs, especially in your last month. The last 2 to 3 weeks should a sort of a larger portion of your time should go into practicing MCQs of the syllabus and attempting as many mock tests as you can. So that is from my side. I shall see you in the next video. All the best.